Okay, let's dive right in. Look, we're not just going to talk about focus like it's some vague self-help goal. We're going to treat your brain like an engineering project. Seriously, we're going to look at the science of how you can build a system for high-pressure thinking.
The common wisdom is that some people are just born with this incredible ability to concentrate, and, well, the rest of us aren't. We've all heard it, maybe we've even said it about ourselves.
But what if that whole idea is just fundamentally wrong? What if focus has absolutely nothing to do with some kind of innate talent you either have or you don't? And that right there is the core idea of this whole explainer. Focus isn't magic, it's a biological system. And you know what? Like any system, it has rules, it has limits, and this is the most important part: it can be trained. So if we're going to build a better system, first we have to understand how it breaks down. So let's take a look at the anatomy of a mental burnout. All right, meet the command center for your attention, the prefrontal cortex. This part of your brain, right up here behind your forehead, is basically the CEO of focus. It's the part that's responsible for keeping you on task and stopping you from scrolling on your phone when you're supposed to be working. This right here, this is what happens under pressure. It's a totally predictable chain reaction. You get hit with high pressure, stress hormones flood your system, and they basically weaken the prefrontal cortex. And poof, your focus is gone. This isn't a character flaw, okay? It's what we could call a focus fracture. It's just neuroscience in action. And what's really fascinating here is that mental fatigue isn't just a feeling. When you're thinking hard, you are consuming real energy and creating chemical byproducts. That tired, foggy sensation, that is a physical warning light from your brain telling you it is literally running on empty. All right, so enough about how your focus breaks. Let's get into the good stuff, the actual blueprint for building a stronger mind. How do we reinforce that prefrontal cortex so it doesn't fracture under pressure? So, the biggest myth out there is that you can build focus through sheer willpower, the just push harder method. But the reality, just like lifting weights at the gym, is something called progressive overload. Your brain only gets stronger when you work it right at the edge of your current ability. Not too easy, but definitely not so hard that you just crash and burn. And here is another huge myth we really need to bust. This idea that working for 8 hours straight is some kind of badge of honor. Science shows pretty clearly that our attention and our accuracy naturally drop over time. It's called vigilance decrement. The smarter approach, it's called interval thinking. And the way these intervals work is so important. You do a burst of deep, focused work for about 25 to 40 minutes, and then you completely, and I mean completely, disengage for 5 to 10 minutes. This isn't just about resting. This cycle actually boosts the production of something called BDNF, which is a protein that acts like fertilizer for your brain cells. It literally helps improve both memory and focus. Okay, now let's get even more practical. We're going to open up the cognitive toolkit. Here are 3 specific science-backed drills you can use to build your mental resilience. So first up is something called dual end-back training. Now this isn't just some random brain game to make you smarter. No, it's a very targeted workout. By forcing you to track and remember both sounds and visuals at the same time, you are directly strengthening those attention control circuits in your prefrontal cortex. Next up, we have a biological override switch. The 4-7-8 breathing technique isn't just about calming down, it's a mechanical process. That long, slow exhale physically flips on your body's rest and digest system. Your heart rate drops, the brain's little alarm center quiets down, and that allows your prefrontal cortex, your focus CEO, to come back online and take control. And finally, we have drill number 3, the micro recovery. And the most surprising thing about this one is just how little time it takes. Seriously, we're talking about 1 to 5 minutes.
That's it.
So why on earth does this work? Well, a brief stop acts like a reset button for your brain. It reduces what's called neural saturation and allows your brain's attention gate to start working properly again. This makes your next block of focused work way more effective. Now, think of these drills like software updates for your brain. But you can't run high-performance software on unstable hardware, right? So let's talk about the biology of mental endurance, powering the machine itself. Sure, a sugar rush might give you a quick boost, but that crash that always follows is an absolute focus killer. Your brain's command center runs on glucose, and it needs a stable, steady supply. That means you've got to prioritize fuel sources that release energy slowly and consistently. So really, it all comes down to this. Your ability to focus rests on 3 massive biological pillars.
We just talked about stable fuel, but hydration and quality sleep are just as critical. I mean, even mild dehydration slows your brain's processing speed, and without deep sleep, your brain can't clear out waste or lock in memories. These are totally non-negotiable.
Okay, now let's bring it all together. How do you take all these biological principles and actually engineer a complete system, an environment that supports deep, focused work? See, your brain has to process everything in your environment. Every single notification, every piece of clutter on your desk. It all adds to your cognitive load. By simplifying your environment, you conserve that precious mental energy for the one task that actually matters.
And this is such a fantastic technique, a consistent pre-work ritual. Could be anything, like clearing your desk or putting on specific music. It signals to your brain that it's time to focus. It actually reduces the mental energy it takes just to get started, making it so much easier to drop into that productive state of flow.
I want you to let this sink in for a second. If you take just one thing away from this whole explainer, please make it this. Your ability to perform under pressure is not a measure of your character or your intelligence. It's a measure of your training.
Look, focus is not a gift you're born with. It's a system that you build. It's a combination of metabolic stability, neural training, and environmental design. So the final question is pretty simple. Have you started building yours?